I'm going to call this work session to order. It is June 30th, 2021. And there we go. We have a couple of agenda items from Mr. Schilling. Good morning.
Good morning. Shall I commence?
Please.
All right. The first item is an unidentified ordinance number. And I guess the moral of this ordinance is that the cut and paste features on our software can be a double-edged sword. Back in 2006, the planning department was presented with a petition for plan unit development by Joe Green. And as part of this analysis, the Plan Commission recommended or the planning staff recommended that a 100 foot right-of-way extension be designated going east from that road across Rogers, on the east side of Rogers. And that was recommended to the Plan Commission based on the notion that that was required by the thoroughfare plan. During the Plan Commission hearing, the highway engineer testified that a 100-foot right-of-way was not needed and did not need to be a condition of that approval. And the Plan Commission agreed and sent a recommendation to the county commissioners that did not include the 100-foot right-of-way dedication requirement. The commissioners subsequently approved that as recommended by the Plan Commission. 2 years later, Joe Green came back for an amendment to the PUD, and the staff recommended that the amendment be approved subject to the same conditions that were approved by the Plan Commission in 2006. However, when the staff prepared the materials for the commissioner's consideration, they cut and paste the staff recommended conditions rather than the conditions approved by the Plan Commission. So when the commissioners approved it in 2008, they approved it with the language saying, with the same conditions approved in 2006, yet the ordinance listed the staff recommendation from 2008, which was incorrect. So essentially, this ordinance removes this sentence from the ordinance 2008-23, and that would be also the extension of that road east of Rogers Street requires a 100-foot right-of-way dedication in accordance with the thoroughfare plan. So we regard this as a scrivener's error that could be corrected by the commissioners without having to go back to the Plan Commission.
Excellent.
And so that's presented for your consideration. And
Okay.
If you authorize me, I will put that on the agenda for your regular session.
Okay, excellent. Let's see first if there are comments or questions. Commissioner Jones?
No, I don't. Seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah, Commissioner Gifford?
And so what is the standard right of way?
I think it's 80 feet
Okay,
for
thank you.
that type of development.
Thank you.
Yeah, it depends on the roadway,
Right.
of course. So excellent. And of course, the highway department's reviewed this recently.
Yes, they approved an 80-foot right-of-way as part of the Southern Meadows subdivision approval. So they've considered this and are okay with that.
Okay, excellent. So is everybody okay with this coming back on our agenda next week or whenever you'd like to? Okay, great. Very good.
Thank you very much.
And next item.
The next item is another unnumbered ordinance that would amend the Monroe County Code by adding Chapter 206, and it relates to internet publication of notices. So for many, many years, the county has been required to publish notices of certain events in the newspaper, and sometimes multiple times. And so the legislature in the last session adopted a law that says if you're in a situation where you have to publish multiple newspaper notices, that you can publish the first notice in the newspaper and then all subsequent notices on the county website under certain conditions. And those conditions are essentially that you designate an official county website, that you designate an official to be responsible for the publication of notices on that website, that you keep a hard dated copy of every notice you publish on there, and that you have a certification process in place in case somebody wants a certified copy of the notice. And so that's what this ordinance will do if adopted. And I have not talked to the Technical Services Department regarding who might be the appropriate designated official. And we need, I think, for purposes of the ordinance, we should designate that person by job title rather than name. However, we will have to publish the person's name and contact information on the county website in a location that is easily accessible.
Okay.
And that's that.
Okay. Comments, questions, Commissioner Jones?
No, I think this is just going to make life a little easier.
Commissioner
Yeah,
Gibbons?
and it's coming in time. If it's adopted early next month, it'll be in time for our tax sale notices. So we'll only have to publish those once in the newspaper, and that'll save quite a few dollars.
Yeah. Commissioner Gibbons?
Yeah, when you say the word newspaper, it brings to mind the fact that the Ellettsville longtime newspaper is closing down soon, and that's sad. And I wonder what will happen if the Bloomington newspaper closes down. Then what do we do about notifications? Do we pin things up on telephone poles, or what has to happen?
Yeah, I think you posted in 3 public buildings, basically.
Yeah. Sad state of affairs. Okay, and so this law was to take effect tomorrow, right? So we're
Correct.
time frame. Okay.
So,
Okay. So is everyone okay with bringing this back at a subsequent regular session? Yeah, great. Now it'll be a good savings for our taxpayers, which is nice. But then they still get their notice in the newspaper as well. So as long as we have one. All right, excellent. Did you have anything else for us, Mr. Shelley?
I do not. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. And let's see if there's anyone else who has an item for us for our work session. I'm going to look through the panelists to see if anyone's raising a hand. Mr. Cockrell.
Well, I think Margie does, but I think I'm more than able to handle it. The probation department is giving their problem-solving court program and pretrial services program. They get a grant through that, and they have asked for a letter of support from the commissioners for that grant application. I believe you've probably seen a version of that letter, and if you guys are comfortable with it, then I think going ahead and approving it now and getting it sent off today, because I think the deadline's Friday or tomorrow even, that would be great.
Excellent. Looks like Ms. Rice has joined us as well.
Yes, I'm trying to figure out my computer screens, where to look. It's a different setup for me. So yes, they need this letter by Friday. And so it's sent to you, but essentially, and I think Becca is on. Becca, are you on the call? She may.
She has her hand raised.
Yeah, and if you want to speak to it a little bit, that'd be great.
Put you on
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thanks. Yes, thank you for squeezing me in. This is our annual Department of Correction grant that covers our community corrections program, mental health court, drug court, and now our pretrial services program. And because we never know what DOC's timeline is going to be, that's why the urgency. This is what we're required to have, this letter of support with all our grant applications. Our Community Corrections Advisory Board met this Monday and approved all of our budgets and our prioritization that we are prepared to provide Indiana Department of Correction.
Excellent. Let's see if there's any questions from the board.
No, I'm just Glad to see these grants happening.
Okay. A standard form that we do. So do we need to make a motion to do this?
Yes, if you'll know, in the letter, I said that the Monroe County Board of Commissioners expresses our continued support of the Monroe County Community Corrections Program, including the problem-solving court and pretrial services. Please accept this letter, which was approved by us in a public meeting, and your work session is a public meeting. So if you can approve it by a vote, that'd be fabulous.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that we approve the support letter for community corrections as outlined.
Second?
All right, motion and a second. Any other comments from the board? And I'll also look for public comment on this. Just raise your hand on the Zoom screen. It does not look like we have any. So Mr. Cockrell, will you please call the roll on the support letter for community corrections?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Githens.
Yes.
Motion is approved, 3-0.
Excellent. Good. Do we have anything else for today's work session agenda?
Jeff and I were hoping to just chat a little bit with you about and follow up on the criminal justice review that we had. We had our public meeting, and we have another one coming up on July 7th, as you know, and in the evening. And just wanted to talk with you about some conversations we've had with other elected officials since that time. We've heard some interest in putting together a small group of elected officials who can continue to meet with community stakeholders and interested parties about moving forward. Wanted to get your thoughts on that. Those meetings would be subject to the open door law, they'd be public. But the idea is, the decision makers would continue to meet to make progress on this. I've talked with council members, of one of the Board of Judges who are interested in working with the commissioners in that regard, if you are. And also just wanted to think about any continued involvement from our consultant, Eve Hill. I have talked with her. She said she would be seriously interested in working with us or consider working with us if that is something we'd like. And I have been playing phone tag with Ken Falk, who's the attorney for the ACLU. He has the report in his hands. We've not yet connected on that. But we wanted to update you and again, let the public know sort of that we are not sitting still, that we are working and actively trying to come up with plans for July 7th. So just wanted to share that with you and see if you have any thoughts. Because I don't think we've met and talked publicly since that meeting that we had. It seemed like a really good meeting with a lot of good information, and just want to get your thoughts.
Yeah. Did you want to add something, Mr. Cockrell, at this point?
Oh, I think Margie covered everything we had talked about. I think particularly, with the small group, I think we were looking at representatives from, the major justice groups, the sheriff, the Board of Judges, the public defender, the prosecutor, as well as the council and commissioners and the health department. I think that group makes a lot of sense. I think there are, depending on all that, we'll have to think about how we're going to staff it and have those kind of things going on. But I think getting that core group together to kind of work on those kind of issues makes a lot of sense to me. And I think it's a natural outcome from the reports we received.
And I did speak with Penny Cottle about it. Many of the recommendations that Eve Hill made are public health related. And so, things, and there's some overlap with like the Community Voices for Health project, in particular, the idea of getting people insured. So Penny Cottle already has great relationships with the School of Public Health at IU, and Eve is recommending that we continue to work on our relationships with Indiana University. We know that the courts are working on some projects with them. You have a contract with the Indiana Institute on Disability and Community right now to do a survey. So we're making some inroads at the university, but I think with Penny's contacts with public health, that would be real helpful too. And she's, of course, Penny's always fabulous and always willing to do what she can. So she's willing to help out too.
All right, let's see if my colleagues have any comments or questions.
Yeah, sounds like a really good step forward and a sensible group of people to have working together. And it would be truly helpful if Eve Hill could continue and kind of guide us along as we're trying to work out these problems.
Commissioner Gittens?
My only question was how often you envision this group meeting? Because I do think it's a good idea.
Yeah. I think when I talked with a couple council members about it, it seems like the group would probably want to meet on a fairly regular basis early on, maybe even weekly early on to get a game plan. And then, the idea is, Eve had about 20 recommendations. And, there can be members of the community that are probably already working on some of these issues, or maybe somebody in the county is already working on an issue. They can come and speak to this group as subject matter experts to let you know what's going on. Because, we do need to get community involvement. However, one of the issues we've had historically in Monroe County is when we get together a large sort of community group working on a topic, and they don't have decision-making power, but they make recommendations. We've been stalled in the past because that, the key decision makers haven't, been at the table. So what we're trying to do is continue to get community involvement, which is so critical and important, but to really have representatives from the key decision makers at the table, hearing from people on these issues. So we're thinking probably weekly, and then, as the group, kind of gets that plan together, it may be every other week.
Right. Yep. So it sounds like we're on board with having a small task force group or whatever it may be, starting the process, and then also trying to determine. It sounds like we're interested in trying to determine if Ms. Hill can continue her connection with us and provide guidance. So
yeah, and I can tell you that I've talked with Eve about, obviously she's an attorney, her hourly rate is going to be fairly high. We'll need, as Jeff mentioned, we need to figure out how to staff it with administrative staff from either the county or a coordinator that's a contractual thing. Obviously, you don't want either your internal legal department or Eve Hill doing those administrative things. So trying to identify, somebody who's good with technology, somebody who's, can take minutes of these meetings, keep that running forward. That's something to think about. But Eve has wonderful contacts across the United States. She is an attorney, so when there comes up the question that's like, hey, can we do that or not? She's going to be able to help us sort of figure out like, yep, you can get through these issues, whether it's at the state or the federal level. And so I think that that's just the only remaining piece we have to figure out is who's the administrative coordinator and staff on that. And so if you think about that, if you have thoughts, let us know. I see Dave Schilling on here, and I'm sure he should see a big smile. We should see a big smile from Dave Schilling's face because we don't want legal doing the administration work. And so, but, we are still going to be involved because we have the ACLU agreed settlement, and there will be legal issues that come up. So we're still going to be obviously involved in this process and supporting you guys.
makes sense. Okay, good. Anything else on this item or any other items?
No, if we will go based on this conversation, we'll reach out to those other stakeholders. We were thinking a commissioner would be on this one, that, one of you guys would be on it, maybe a couple council members, somebody from the Board of Judges, prosecutor, public defender, as Jeff said. So, if there's, if you guys want to arm wrestle over which one of you guys, or, it can even be a commissioner seat and you guys alternate as your schedules allow, however you guys want to do that. Just think about it and let us know.
All right. Excellent. Good. Anything else?
May I ask one question about this? Ms. Rice, do you feel like the county council is willing to create the position that was recommended by Eve Hill?
I think so. I mean, I've only talked to a couple. I haven't talked, obviously, to a majority about it. But this is something that's really important. And doing it right will save us, I think, money down the road in terms of risk and liability and, all of that sort of thing. So I think that they probably would. We've also, when I did talk with a council member, we were at a State Board of Accounts called meeting on Saturday, and this topic came up. And, we were talking as well as really trying to use some resources at the university. Penny sometimes gets a O'Neill School, a SPIA, Student School of Public Health, or environmental, either from public health or from SPIA, an intern, and the council has one now too. It may be that we also use some of those resources to help out with some coordinating, and so that's an option. But yeah, I think they're really open-minded about it. And we continue to have some, there's administrative calls, and we can certainly talk. I can talk with council staff more about that. But I think probably it would be a contractual position rather than a brand new county employee position.
Mm-hmm. Good. Anything else on this item or other items? Okay, it's nice to have 3 members of our legal staff here at one time. All right, is any of the other department heads have anything for us for our work session? Just raise your hand if you do. I do not see any. So with that, unless my colleagues have anything else, we'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting. Thank you.